Tom, we were debating this a little bit earlier. Does Treylon not playing in this football game, how much does it alter your perspective on the Hawks' chances of beating James Franklin's squad coming up in about 3 weeks?
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys. I think if you're a Razorback fan, in your heart, you were just hoping against hope that he would be one who put it out there one more time for the Razorbacks, because he's that kind of kid. He's only talked about wanting to do well for the Razorbacks, win games and stuff, and he doesn't worry about the personal accolades, which have been plenty because he was all SEC coaches and Associated Press. But the reality of it is, from the injury standpoint, the decision is, you got 15 practices, and Lord knows he probably wouldn't have been involved in much tackling or contact in those 15. But then there's the game, and anything could happen. And he's about to make a lot of money. And I do think it obviously negates a big-time weapon, because moving the ball on this Penn State defense is going to be difficult. If you've got a guy who can make circus catches and beat dudes one-on-one, and if you bring pressure, he can beat a cornerback, that's a big deal. And so there's no one on the roster that can do what he does. They can throw balls to Tyson Morris and Warren Thompson and things like that, and somebody will have to step up, but there's not a difference maker like Treylon Burks. So, yeah, I think it does impact it. I wouldn't be surprised if it impacted the line.
Tom, to your final point about Tyson Morris, Warren Thompson, we were kind of kicking that around the can earlier of the guys in that locker room, particularly at the wide receiver position. If you had to pinpoint one, who steps first?
Well, that's a good question. I think a combo. I mean, Warren Thompson's the guy who I think has been able to get deep more often. He just had the couple of drops in one game, and I can't remember, maybe the UAPB game, he had a couple of drops, and, it was a little uncharacteristic of what we had seen out of him. But I think he might be the more deep guy. But then in terms of your kind of security blanket, I think throwing the ball to Tyson Morris would be wise. Hey, I'll tell you what, in the last few weeks, the tight ends have risen up. Trey Knox, a bunch of catches. Blake Kern had the touchdown on the fake punt against Bama. And, it looks like Hudson Henry they tried to run some stuff for. So maybe the tight ends will contribute, and they're going to have to do a lot of different things to move the ball. See the running backs be a more part of Rocket Sanders has been phenomenal as a guy who came here as a potential wideout. His catch against Alabama for a touchdown was a highlight reel type catch.
Yeah. Tom, we'll have plenty of time to debate where Treylon stacks in the list of Arkansas wide receiver greats, but he's in the conversation amongst the greatest of all time. I think we can agree on that. But let's look at his career. First year, a carousel of quarterbacks, Felipe Franks last year, KJ Jefferson this year. When you compare him to the others that are in the conversation, Jarius Wright, Kobe Hamilton, you go down the list of particularly the ones in the last 10 years, that came at a time where for some of those guys we had Tyler Wilson and Ryan Mallett and more stability at the quarterback position. Speak to the idea of what Treylon Burks has done these last couple of years, and he's done it with different quarterbacks and what I would label as not the most stable of times in Arkansas's offensive history.
Absolutely. All those points are well taken and on point. And I think he might be the best. I'd like to, Jarius Wright is definitely in that conversation because of his leadership skills and his commitment to the game. A real student of the game, Jarius Wright. He made he had the physical tools, but he made himself into a great player, and he's just a good kid. And it's amazing. Those two are both from Warren. Greg Tiles, who got hurt in the Vanderbilt game at home, was on course. Imagine they had these guys on the roster at the same time. Joe Adams, Jarius Wright, Greg Tiles, and then Chris Gregg, who got converted to a tight end, but was a very dangerous weapon. He's in the conversation with all those guys. Look, he didn't score a touchdown as a freshman, okay? For whatever reason, that offense couldn't get him the ball in the red zone. Now, this year, he's the highest-rated red zone receiver in the country by Pro Football Focus. He's made a highlight reel of circus catches. I was watching what you guys posted, and it's just one catch after the other where he's either making a hands catch. The Ole Miss catch might be his best. The one that wasn't counted a touchdown might have been, and I can't remember the game.
Mississippi State.
Maybe the Mississippi State.
Yep.
Who was it?
Mississippi State.
Game.
Yeah.
So it's just one after the other. And then he reached one of the top speeds in all of college football on that screen pass against Georgia Southern when he stiff-armed a dude. He caught a pass in the Ole Miss game, I believe, where he's running down the sideline, and the guys start hitting him on the 15, and he just runs through them. And it's just a man among boys. It's almost like some Herschel Walker type stuff from a receiver with his strength and his speed. And I'll tell you, when they put up his draft stuff, I'm going to laugh because I laughed today. 4 Alabama dudes chasing him, falling over each other on a touchdown, and that's a thing of beauty.
Yeah. And you made the point he may be the greatest of all time in Arkansas history. If that's the position you take, and I don't think it's a bad one. Clay Henry just sent me a text to remind me something we all know. He did all of these things we just mentioned against the toughest schedule in school history. So, put that also in your bullet points for your Treylon Burks presentation because, not only did he achieve all of these things and more than 1,100 yards and all of those statistics, but he did it against the toughest 12-game schedule the school's ever had.
No question. And he's played 17 conference games. Well, he's been involved in 9 plus 8, 17 conference games out of the last 21 games they've played. He scored 19 touchdowns in those 21 games. So he didn't have any as a freshman. He's got 19 in the last 2 years in 21 games. He's almost averaging a touchdown per game. Yeah. Hey, let's throw Chuck Dicus, and there's some other guys that are in the conversation. Let's don't forget Anthony Lucas and Eubanks, and there's some great guys. Boo Williams that came along, but doggone, I think we might have just seen the best one.
And you just wonder what the career would have totaled if it hadn't been total coaching malpractice in year one with him, where they couldn't get him the ball, they didn't score a touchdown with him. I mean, it was coaching malpractice in year one. So you almost shrunk his career down, and we'll just say 2.5 seasons. If that hadn't occurred, you just wonder what the career numbers could have totaled up to.
Absolutely. And, Trey Knox had a better freshman year that year. And with as you mentioned, the carousel at quarterback, they were just trying to find anything that would work. And unfortunately for him, he got 400 and something yards in passes, but no TDs. And he was a really good punt returner that year. If you remember, there were games, Kentucky and A&M, where he had long returns, and I don't know if they did anything with him after that, but he was a weapon, and they could not unleash to its full potential.
Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush. Tom, I got 2 SEC questions before we let you go. So Brett McMurphy of the Action Network is reporting that LSU was offering Jimbo Fisher 8 years, $125 million. They were going to offer that. And I saw that initially.
It was an expensive loss there in the Bayou.
Yeah, I saw that initially, and I was amazed by that. I don't know if you saw that report, but what did you think about the prospect of LSU going after their former offensive coordinator and a guy that Scott Woodward knows very well?
Yeah, not surprising in the least. When I was down there for the game, I was talking to some of my longtime friends, and they said that they were still after Jimbo. I mean, it didn't sound like it was going to happen because his denials were of the kind that, hard to come back from, unlike Nick Saban, who said, when I was covering the beat, do I have to say it? I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. And, of course, he's gone on to win 6 since then. But anyway, it doesn't surprise me. I did the math in my head, $15 million. I mean, that would have – you're talking about – that's like a 50% increase over the highest salary in one coaching cycle. And it's outrageous, but it doesn't surprise me in the least. He wanted to make a big splash hire. He did, but I also think the jury is out. Look, Brian Kelly, no question, great coach, but can he make it happen down there? Will he fit in? Will the players buy into him? Is going to be a fascinating watch the next few years.
I know Lane Kiffin was rumored around that job in Baton Rouge. Kelly took it and got it. And I wonder for Kiffin, Tom, and from your perspective, Sugar Bowl appearance this year, 10 wins in his second season at Ole Miss.
All the other teams like Arkansas, who you didn't last year, and Auburn, and and A&M and LSU and Alabama, and you have to get past them in a given year, all of them, with maybe one exception. You might be able to lose one game. How is that going to happen? The same would apply for Arkansas. You have to beat almost every one of those teams. And, yeah, Arkansas did very similar. And, in 2010, 2011, they came very, very close. But since then, Alabama's recruiting has only gotten better. So it's a Herculean task. And, Lincoln is a really good coach. But I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat the type of defensive performance they got this year. Losing Jeff Lebby is certainly going to have an impact, although, Lane Kiffin is a mastermind. He has adapted the Art Briles offense and put his own spins on it and has made it like a power run offense, and it's beautiful to watch. And then Arkansas game that was on full display with Jalen Catalon, not himself, and they're going to be a hard offense to defend, but you have to sustain a recruiting level and get impact defensive guys too, and it's just going to be tough. And I don't know, it's part of what makes SEC football fun is having all these colorful characters like him and Mike Leach. I mean, the Egg Bowl turned on its head in its how you perceive it based on the way those two guys talked about each other this year. That's the beauty of SEC football is there's all these colorful stories that bubble up here, there, and everywhere. Sam Pittman's a part of that fabric as well.
Tom, we appreciate your time, appreciate your insight, especially with this breaking Treylon Burks news, and we'll talk more as we get closer and closer to this Penn State game on Monday, man.
Yep, that sounds perfect. Everyone, have a great weekend. See you.
Tom Murphy with us here on a Recruiting Thursday.
Has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.